She was laughing at your joke. She smiled at you across the room. She said, "We should hang out sometime." Then, out of nowhere, nothing. She stopped texting back. She became busy, she pulled away, and you don't know why. Let me tell you the truth. She didn't lose interest randomly. She saw something. She felt something. And it told her, this isn't the one. Not because you're not attractive, not because you're not successful, but because you unknowingly triggered one of the 10 biggest turn-offs that instantly break emotional connection. And most people never even realize it. These aren't surface-level tips. These are deep psychological patterns. Subconscious red flags that women feel instantly, but never say out loud. Once you understand what truly repels women, you can stop chasing and start attracting from silent strength. Number 1. Overconfidence. Masquerading as insecurity. There's a fine line between confidence and compensation. Real confidence is silent. It's the calm presence of someone who knows who they are. They don't need validation. They don't seek attention. They don't posture. But most people today, they perform. They puff up their chest, they name drop, and they brag about what they do. They interrupt to dominate conversations. They try to win her attention by being loud, impressive, or flashy. What's the message she hears? This person needs to be seen. They're proving something. And that right there is insecurity. Women are wired to pick up on subtle emotional signals. She can sense when your energy is rooted in emptiness. She can feel when you're performing confidence, not radiating it. And here's the paradox. The harder you try to show you're confident, the more obvious it becomes that you're not. She doesn't need you to act like you're the man. She needs you to be rooted. Rooted means you can sit in silence. You can let her talk without trying to dominate the moment. You can exist without trying to be seen. Overconfidence is just insecurity with a mask on. And women, they see right through it. So how do you fix it? Strip the performance. Drop the need to impress. Speak less. Watch more. Listen with presence. Be so solid in your frame that nothing needs to be proven. That's what makes her lean in. Not the volume of your voice, but the depth of your presence. Number 2. Poor hygiene and physical presence. It's not just about being clean. It's about what your body says without saying a word. You might think she's shallow for noticing your smell, your fingernails, your unkempt beard, or the way your clothes fit. But let's get one thing straight. Women are biologically wired to be hypersensitive to signals of health, vitality, and subconscious dominance. If your breath stinks, if your clothes smell like last night's fries, if your skin looks like it's never met water, she's not judging you. Her body is rejecting a threat. Poor hygiene doesn't just smell bad. It screams a deeper message. I don't take care of myself. I'm unaware of how I show up. I'm not in control of my basic frame. That's a primal red flag. Because if you can't control your smell, if you can't keep your appearance crisp, what else in your life is falling apart? This isn't about vanity, it's about presence. Stoic presence starts with respect for your vessel. Your body is a reflection of your inner command. How you dress, how you groom, how you smell. They all speak before you ever open your mouth. You don't need to be the most handsome. You don't need to wear designer clothes. You just need to signal control. Be clean, smell sharp, walk tall, stand still. Own your space. The person who can manage the basics with intention radiates something most can't. If he takes care of himself, Maybe he can take care of me too. And that right there is the first seed of trust and attraction. Number 3, not listening equals no emotional safety. You might think talking a lot makes you interesting. You might believe showing how much you know will impress her. But here's the truth. If she doesn't feel heard, she'll never feel safe. And if she doesn't feel safe, she'll never feel attracted. Most people are waiting to speak. They're not listening. They're loading their next sentence. They nod, they smile, they interrupt. But none of it is about the other person. It's all about them. This is where connection dies. Because listening isn't passive. It's dominant presence. True listening is power. It's the act of holding space, of being so dialed in, so tuned into the moment, that the other person feels seen. You don't build attraction by talking. You build it by understanding. And here's the psychological punch. When a woman feels misunderstood, she will emotionally withdraw, even if everything else about you is on point. Not listening sends one message. This person is self-centered. They don't get me. And once she decides that, she's gone. Not with drama, not with fireworks. She just disappears. So how do you reverse it? You develop Stoic stillness. You listen without trying to fix. You listen without needing to relate. You listen without hijacking the story. You listen to feel the emotion under her words. You watch her body language. You let her finish her thought, fully. You pause before responding. That silence? It tells her, you're not just being heard, you're being received. And in that moment, something unlocks in her nervous system. She starts to trust you, because she feels safe in your presence. No amount of charm or game can replace that. Listening is your greatest weapon. Use it like a master, not a mirror. Number 4, clingy behavior plus lack of boundaries. You give her attention. You show you care. You text her good morning, good night, and everything in between. And suddenly, she's cold. She's distant. She's gone. Why? Because you gave her your entire frame. And that's when she lost interest. Neediness isn't about texting too much. It's about your need to be needed. It's about the unconscious message you send when you make her the center of your life. When you cancel plans to see her. When your mood depends on her replies. When you're always available. When you chase validation, not connection. She doesn't feel flattered. She feels pressured. She doesn't see a grounded person choosing her. She sees someone attaching their self-worth to her attention. And that's heavy. Emotionally, that's suffocating. Women don't want someone who needs them. They want someone who can hold space for them without losing themselves. Lack of boundaries is a turn-off because it signals one thing. This person doesn't have a life. They'll make me their life, and no healthy woman wants to carry that weight. So what's the solution? You build emotional boundaries. You stop trying to win her affection. You stop chasing every response. You stop waiting for her to validate your worth. Instead, you lead your life. You keep your routine. You honor your goals. You disappear when you need to. You give from fullness, not from fear. You hold space without collapse. You offer care without control. You're available, but not dependent. That's the frame. Because when you don't chase, when you don't collapse into her orbit, when you remain centered and calm, even as she pulls away, she feels something powerful. This person won't break if I leave. That makes me want to stay. Neediness repels. Boundaries attract. Choose your energy wisely. Number 5. Lack of purpose and vision. At first, she likes you. You're nice, funny, maybe even attractive. But then, something shifts. She stops texting back as fast. She starts pulling away, and before you even realize it, she's no longer interested. And you think, what did I do wrong? It's not what you did, it's what you didn't have. A sense of purpose, a direction, a reason to wake up beyond her. Here's the hard truth. If you don't have a vision for your life, she won't trust you to be a part of hers. Because without purpose, you drift. And drifting energy is feminine energy. It's reactive, passive, flowing without direction. And polarity dies when masculine energy doesn't lead. She can't respect you if you don't seem to respect your own potential. No woman wants to be the sole focus of your ambition. She wants to see you moving with such purpose that she has to catch up to you. And when you don't, she sees you as emotionally heavy. You become a burden, not a mission. You become comfort, not fire. You might say you want a relationship, but what she feels is a lack of leadership. So she runs, not because she hates you, but because being with you means standing still. What's the fix? You get obsessed with something that doesn't involve her. You build, you lead, you hunt. You move through the world like someone who's been summoned for something greater. Purpose isn't a hobby. It's your energy source, your backbone, your reason for restraint. With purpose, you become untouchable because you stop needing her to complete you. She's not your world. She's invited into it. And when you live like that, she doesn't just stay. She respects, she supports, she submits. Not because she's weaker, but because your direction inspires trust. Without purpose, you're a passenger. With purpose, you're a force. Number 6, talking about yourself too much. You want to impress her. You want her to see what makes you valuable. So you talk about your job, your accomplishments, your goals, your opinions, your gym routine, your insights, your life story. You think you're showcasing value. But what she hears is, this person needs me to be impressed. And that is repulsive. See, attraction doesn't grow through self-promotion. It grows through emotional resonance. When you make the conversation all about you, you don't leave any space for her to show up. You don't build rapport. You dominate, you hijack, you steal the oxygen. And here's the truth. No one is listening to a story unless they see themselves in it. When all your dialogue is self-centered, she doesn't feel inspired. She feels invisible. And invisible people disappear. Most people talk about themselves for one reason. They're insecure. They think if they can list enough accomplishments, they'll earn respect. If they sound smart enough, they'll be accepted. If they talk fast enough, they'll win approval, but that energy repels. Because it's not grounded, it's not stoic, it's not centered, it's trying to prove something. And when you're trying to prove, you've already lost. So what do? You flip the script, you ask questions that matter. You become the calm presence that draws stories out of others. You become so rooted in your frame that silence doesn't scare you. You speak when it adds weight, not just noise. And when you speak, you share your experience, not your resume, not to impress, but to connect. You're not performing. You're offering perspective. That difference is everything. So next time you're with her, or anyone, count how long you go without making it about you. And if you can master that, you become rare. Because in a world obsessed with broadcasting, the person who listens with clarity and speaks with depth stands out like fire in darkness. Number 7, aggressiveness versus assertiveness. Strength attracts. But when it's misused, it becomes one thing: a threat. There's a fine line between being assertive and being aggressive. Most people cross it without knowing, and they pay the price in lost connection, tension, or rejection. Here's how you know the difference. Assertiveness says, I know what I want. I speak with clarity. I move with intention. Aggressiveness says, I need to dominate this moment so I don't feel small. One is grounded, the other is anxious. Aggressiveness is force in disguise. It's interrupting. It's talking over. It's overpowering conversations. It's giving opinions like they're laws. It's posturing instead of standing firm. And the energy behind it? I need to control this moment so I don't feel exposed. That's not power, that's panic. Here's what happens when you're aggressive. She doesn't feel impressed. She feels tension in her chest. She withdraws. She tunes out. She feels like she has to protect herself around you. And that destroys all attraction. Because real desire can't grow in emotional lockdown. Real desire needs safety. Assertiveness, on the other hand, that's the Stoic path. Assertiveness is calm. It doesn't chase, force, or overpower. It sets boundaries without anger. It leads without ego. It speaks clearly without yelling. It's the energy of someone who trusts himself so deeply that he doesn't need to shake the room to feel seen. And here's the paradox. The more grounded your assertiveness becomes, the more her nervous system relaxes. She leans in, she softens, she opens. Why? Because your energy doesn't scream danger, it radiates direction. You don't need to be feared, you need to be felt. The most attractive energy isn't loud, it's quiet, but undeniable. So if you find yourself pushing, dominating, escalating, ask yourself, am I standing in my power or overcompensating for its absence? You'll know the difference by how she responds. Because assertiveness invites, aggressiveness repels. Number 8, negative mindset and victim language. Life is hard. You've been through it. You've been overlooked, disrespected, misunderstood. And somewhere along the way, that pain turned into something else. Bitterness, complaining, cynicism. You didn't mean for it to happen, but now it's how you show up. You talk about how people don't treat you right, how women today are selfish, how nothing ever goes your way, how the world is against you, how your ex ruined your trust, how dating is trash now. And when you speak like that, no matter how good you look, no matter how strong your frame seems, she feels it, that heaviness, that emotional weight, that victim energy. And what does her nervous system do? It checks out, not because she doesn't care, but because she can't carry your burden. People, especially women, aren't attracted to heaviness. They're drawn to lightness. And don't confuse lightness with silliness. Lightness is emotional resilience. It's the energy of someone who's been through hell and didn't build a house there. Here's the truth. Everyone's been hurt. Everyone's been lied to. Everyone's been disrespected. But when you speak from victimhood, you tell the world, my past still owns me. And when your past owns you, you're not free to lead the present. Women don't want someone stuck in pain loops. They want someone who can carry pain without becoming it. So what do? You audit your language. You kill the passive whining. You stop speaking in generalizations. You stop blaming people who aren't in the room. You stop infecting conversations with defeat. You don't need to fake positivity. You need to reclaim accountability. Speak power. Speak progress. Speak peace. And when you talk about pain, speak from healing, not from hurt. That shift changes everything. Because no one runs from your past. They run from the energy that says, "I'm still trapped in it." Reclaim your language, and you'll reclaim your attractiveness. Number 9. Trying too hard to impress. You think the effort will pay off. You think if you do more, give more, say more, she'll choose you, so you go out of your way. You compliment her constantly. You offer to buy her things. You shower her with praise. You laugh at everything she says, even when it's not funny. You tell her how amazing she is. On repeat. You become the overly available, overly agreeable, overly invested person who's hoping, no, praying, that if you just impress her enough, she'll like you. But here's what she's actually hearing. This person doesn't see themselves as high value, so they're trying to compensate by winning me over. Trying too hard doesn't come off as generous. It comes off as anxious, and anxiety repels. Why? Because when you're trying to impress someone, you're not connecting with them. You're performing for them. And that performance says one thing: I hope I'm enough. But you don't need to hope when you move from presence. You just are. The person who knows their value doesn't try to impress. They express. They share their truth. They listen with depth. They move from calm. They offer without agenda. And if she's not interested, they don't take it personally. They simply move on, not because they're cold, but because their worth is already settled. When you try too hard, you're giving her the frame. You're putting her on a pedestal. And the moment you do that, attraction dies. Because no one wants to date their fan. They want to meet their match. So what's the solution? You strip the performance. You stop offering what hasn't been earned. You let silence sit. You speak when you feel it, not when you think she wants to hear it. You show up without the clown mask. Because here's the paradox. When you stop trying to impress, you become impressive. That's what confidence looks like. Not louder, not needier, realer. And that's what makes her stay. Number 10. Lack of authentic masculine presence. You might look good. You might say all the right things. You might even have status, money, charm. But if your presence is missing, she won't feel a thing. You'll be liked. You'll be sweet. You'll be nice. But she won't desire you. She won't lean in. She won't crave your energy. Because she doesn't feel that masculine center anchoring the moment. Masculine presence isn't about being dominant. It's about being deeply rooted in yourself. It's the energy of, I know who I am, I know where I'm going, and I don't need to prove that to anyone. Most people are thinking about what to say next, how they're being perceived. Whether they're being judged, that's not presence, that's noise. Real presence is felt in your stillness, in your eye contact, in the way you breathe, in the way you don't rush to fill the silence. And women? They're tuned to it like a frequency. When they feel a person who's centered, calm, and non-reactive, someone who leads with emotional command, they soften. Not because they're weak, but because they finally feel safe. But when your energy is chaotic, anxious, overthinking, hesitant, she tenses up. She shuts down. She starts thinking instead of feeling. And that means you've already lost her body, because you never reached her nervous system. So how do you develop authentic masculine presence? You stop faking confidence. You stop seeking attention. You stop trying to perform. And you start leading from self-respect. You slow down. You observe more. You say less, but mean every word. You stop reacting to everything she does. You stop chasing validation. You hold eye contact, not as a trick, but as a reflection of your internal stillness. You move like a mountain, calm, still, immovable, but undeniably present. And when you show up like that, she feels something most can't offer her. Not approval, not excitement, but peace. And peace is the most powerful seduction of all. Attraction isn't a mystery, it's a reflection. If she pulls away, it's not bad luck. It's not that she changed. It's that something in you pushed her away. Quietly, subconsciously, energetically. But here's the power. Every single turnoff we covered today is under your control. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be a millionaire. You don't need to manipulate or perform. You just need to lead with depth. Command your space, kill the noise, and show up as someone who's already enough before anyone validates it. That's what makes her stay. Not your effort, your embodiment. If this hit you, if something inside you shifted, don't just scroll away like everyone else. Support this channel? Drop a comment. Hit subscribe if you're done losing without knowing why. And if this helped you, share it with someone else who needs this truth.